Yo, what's going on? It's Larry Jenkins. I'm out here again. I've been delayed with my NBA team by team preview, so I'm going to give you guys every team that I've missed to current date, plus the team that I will give y'all today. Like I said, all these team previews are coming to a ranking according to ESPN's Mark Stein by his power rankings, which are usually pretty efficient. I will give him that. So, without further ado, we're going to start off with number 25. 26. That's where I left off at. 26. 26, the Houston Rockets. Jeremy Lin is in Houston. That's about it. There's not much you can really say about this Houston Rockets team. They are very young, but they are very talented. But there's not really any real veteran leadership on that team when you look at it as currently constructed. You have Jeremy Lin. You have Chandler Parsons, who showed up as a great player last year. You have Royce White, who they picked up in the draft. You have Jeremy Lamb, who they picked up in the draft. You have Terrence Jones, who they picked up in the draft. They brought in Omer Sheik to come along with Jeremy Lamb. You have Patrick Patterson, who's still there. And you also have Kevin Martin, who is still there. They're a very solid team when you look at the talent that's available to them. All across the board, there's no shortage of talent that they have available to them. But in terms of experience and leadership and all that other stuff, they're a little bit lacking. I think all of this is going to fall on Jeremy Lin's shoulders. He's going to be asked to be the leader of this team, which I have a feeling that he can do that. But like I said a while ago, I'm going to put a link to the video down below. Y'all can check that out when I talked about Jeremy Lin when he exploded in Toronto. But there are holes in his game, namely the turnovers, mainly his inability to create for himself when getting pressured by tough defenses. Look at what happened against Miami. Look at what happened against Boston. Two top defensive teams. They frustrated him. They trapped him. They took him out of his game. Will he be able to rebound from all those things that he learned last year, especially given the fact that he was injured? We will wait to see. I don't see much happening for these Rockets, but we all know that a team like the Houston Rockets, especially last year's team, who was coached very well, I wouldn't be surprised to see these guys competing for a playoff spot, as they always seem to do. But in terms of any solid production for those guys, it's going to be a good, solid learning year for the Houston Rockets. Next up on the list, number 25, the Detroit Pistons drafted Andre Drummond. They have Brandon Knight back at point guard. Rodney Stuckey's still with the team. Tayshaun Prince is still with the team. It's Greg Monroe is still with this team. They're a very solid young team, but they're ways away from being legitimate contenders. Brandon Knight is still growing. He's a great young point guard for this team. I think that everything that he has learned last year will carry over into this year. Granted, it was a shorter season last year. I don't see any reason for these guys not to continue to grow. Greg Monroe and Andre Drummond, I don't know whether or not they're going to complement each other or one is going to back up the other, but when you already have somebody as established as Greg Monroe is and you bring in a guy like Andre Drummond, you have to think that the plan is to pair them together in the front court to be a formidable force in the middle. Do I see anything legitimately happen with these guys? Not really, but the Detroit Pistons are one of those teams on the rise. We have to wait and see how things develop with those guys. Moving on, the Phoenix Suns, they missed out on Eric Gordon. The New Orleans Hornets matched that offer sheet, but I will tell you this, if Eric Gordon would have signed with the Phoenix Suns, we've been talking about a playoff team with Goran Dragic coming in, Michael Beasley coming in. They really do have a solid core to build around down in Phoenix right now. I can see this team being very explosive as always, being very high energy, especially with a guy like Dragic who showed up last year in a tremendous spot for the Houston Rockets when Lowry was out. But this team, like a lot of teams at the bottom of this list, is very young, very inexperienced. We don't know what kind of Michael Beasley we're going to get showing up in this coming season, but I have a feeling that this team, this Phoenix Suns team, can be quite dangerous. Let me look at their roster real quick, because I'm not sure everybody that's actually on the team. Now, Gortat, he's going to grow. They got Wesley Johnson. They drafted Kendall Marshall. Morris should develop quite nicely. They're going to miss out on Channing Frye, who's going to miss the season with the irregular heartbeat. But Shannon Brown is still with the team. Wesley Johnson is an X factor for these guys. You don't know really what you're going to get with him. He was in a bad situation in Minnesota. Granted, he didn't really fit the bill as well with Michael Beasley already on the team. Then you bring in a guy like Derek Williams, who's a 3-4 combo. You really don't know what you have. So he was kind of buried under all those guys, but I think that he can be a solid player in this Phoenix system. It's up and down. It caters to his athleticism. We'll have to see how that plays out for those guys. Now, moving on. That was number 24. Number 23, the Toronto Raptors. Landry Fields is added to the mix. Kyle Lowry is added to the mix. Andrea Bargnani should improve. Ed Davis should improve. Amir Johnson, he showed up out of nowhere last year to become a formidable force. Granted, I do think he's overpaid for the time and production that he gives you. He's still there. DeMar DeRozan is still growing, but he still has a lot of development to go. This team is currently constructed right now is very, very talented, like a lot of teams, like I said, down at the bottom of this list. But I do think that in time, these guys can grow together. They can be very happy. But I think that, what's this guy's name? I think is Jonas Valus. I'm not even finna try to say his name. The European guy that they got in the draft. He's going to show up. He's going to provide some solid time for those guys in the front court. I think it all remains to see how everything plays out for these guys. The Raptors can be a very solid team. I think they can compete for the 8th spot. I do think they are that talented, but we'll have to wait and see how the season plays out for those guys. Moving on to today's team, number 22, the Washington Wizards. I'm going to say this. On paper, before the John Wall injury, I said that this team was a playoff team. Ariza, Okafor, Wall, Beal. They had quite a few guys on this team that will make you say, hey, these guys are legit. But then again, when you lose a guy like John Wall, who can be very dangerous at any given time, it makes you wonder where can they really go. Now, Nene is on the team, but he's often injured. We got to see how his production holds up. Who else did they add? You still got Trevor Booker on the team. Jordan Crawford, who can shoot the lights out when given a chance, but he has to learn when to take those shots. That's his biggest question mark heading in. You got AJ Price, who provided some solid time in Indiana last year. Then you also have, what's my guy's name? I can't find, there it is, Shelvin Mack. I couldn't remember his name, but Shelvin Mack, he's a guy that I really loved in his time at, I think it was, where was it? Not Gonzaga, Butler. There you go. I knew it was one of those teams, Gonzaga or Butler, but Shelvin Mack is a guy I really like. We got to see how he develops, how he grows, and all that other stuff in John Wall's absence. Granted, they did pick up Jannero Pargo and AJ Price. I do think that Shelvin Mack, we'll have to see what happens during the preseason. But John Wall being out for 2 months is going to really hurt these guys. Granted, he may be back in early December, so that means he'll miss about a month of real game time. But you got to worry about the conditioning, him learning all the players and everything like that. We'll have to see how all that goes. Luckily, he doesn't need any surgery. He just needs to rest the knee, and we'll see what happens with that. But I do think that with John Wall in the lineup, that this can be a playoff team. These Washington Wizards, I can see them getting as high as the number 7 seed. Will it happen? We'll have to wait and see, but they do have the pieces in place. They have veterans on the team now. They have a new coach. And Randy Whitman, so we'll have to just see what goes on with these Washington Wizards. But I think as currently constructed, they are a playoff team. But that all depends on Bradley Beal's development as well, and whether or not John Wall can come back to being the athletic force that he is. We all know that knees play an integral part in the game of basketball, so we'll have to see how that affects him as he comes back. Those were the teams that I missed out on, and the Washington Wizards was today's team. I'm hoping I don't delay this any much more, but those have been my team previews for, I guess, this week. I guess you can call it that. But there will be more to come tomorrow and the coming days and all that other good stuff. So let me know what you guys think. Comment down below whether you agree, disagree, all that other good stuff. I like hearing from you guys. I comment back. Let me know what you think. I'll holler at y'all. Peace.